Never forgive these 7 betrayals in relationships. Stoicism. Betrayal is one of the most gut-wrenching experiences we can go through in relationships. Whether it's dishonesty, emotional manipulation, or broken trust, the aftermath can leave deep, lasting scars. So, what should you do when you're faced with betrayal? Should you forgive, or is there a point where letting go is the healthier choice? Modern Stoicism offers us a powerful way to look at these painful situations. Instead of focusing solely on the betrayal itself, Stoicism teaches us to focus on how we respond. It's about regaining control over your emotions rather than being trapped in anger or regret. While forgiveness is often seen as a virtue, Stoic philosophy suggests there are some betrayals that are just too harmful to forgive. In this video, we'll uncover 7 such betrayals, explore their impact, and explain why sometimes forgiveness might not be the best option. Let's dive into the Stoic secrets for dealing with betrayal, rebuilding trust, and ensuring future relationships are built on respect and understanding. Welcome to Stoic in Your Life. Never forgive these 7 betrayals. Number 1. Infidelity. Infidelity is often described as one of the deepest betrayals in any relationship, and for good reason. It's not just an act of cheating. It is a devastating breach of trust, one that can shatter the foundation of everything you've built together. Imagine this: the person you love, the one who vowed to stand by you, betrays you in such a way that it shakes your core. Suddenly, the very things that once felt secure, your trust, your self-worth, your entire sense of the relationship, are in turmoil. It's painful, more than just hurt feelings. It leaves a scar on your soul, forcing you to question not just the other person, but your own judgment. This emotional agony is not something that fades quickly, nor should we expect it to. In fact, I believe that in these situations, the Stoic teachings can offer some of the most relevant insights. The Stoics remind us that we must never allow actions that undermine our dignity and emotional peace to go unchecked. As Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone does wrong, it is because they are mistaken, but your response is in your control." When it comes to infidelity, your emotional peace should be your first priority, not the need to forgive for the sake of societal expectations or misguided ideas of reconciliation. We must recognize that some betrayals are so severe, so deeply damaging, that they leave a permanent mark, and no apology can fully heal what's been broken. The damage is done, and no amount of words can erase the reality of what's occurred. Forgiving infidelity might seem like the right thing to do, but consider this: if the wound is too deep, can forgiveness truly erase the betrayal, or does it simply open the door for more harm? At times, the most stoic response is to walk away, to choose your emotional well-being over the poisonous hope of change. I often think of the example of someone who discovers their partner's affair. Do they stay, desperately trying to rebuild trust, or do they walk away, knowing that their emotional peace is worth far more than the hollow promises of change? The latter path may seem difficult, but it's often the most courageous one. By leaving, you take back control of your life. You choose to heal rather than remain in the shadows of someone else's choices. You see, modern Stoicism isn't about tolerating abuse or injustice. It's about acknowledging when something is beyond repair and recognizing that your peace, your sense of self, is worth more than anything else. In moments like these, ask yourself, what are you truly sacrificing by forgiving someone who has deeply hurt you? What are you giving up when you choose to prioritize the needs of another over your own emotional health? There's wisdom in knowing when to let go, to release the grip of a relationship that no longer serves you. Infidelity, for many, marks a line that once crossed cannot be erased. And while forgiveness is a powerful tool, it must not be wielded blindly. It must be used when the person seeking it has shown true remorse and change, not simply to keep the peace. In the end, your peace of mind is the most sacred thing you can preserve. And as I reflect on this, I ask myself, and you as well, can we afford to keep giving our hearts to those who would so carelessly break them? The wisdom of Stoicism suggests we choose our peace over the illusion of reconciliation, trusting that the true strength lies in our ability to walk away when necessary. Number 2, lying or deception. Lying and deception, whether about trivial details or more significant life events, can slowly but surely eat away at the very foundation of trust that any relationship is built upon. When someone lies, it's not just about the falsehood itself, but about undermining the truth and the open communication that are essential for any healthy partnership. Trust is delicate. Once it's broken, it can be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to rebuild. From a Stoic perspective, truthfulness and honesty aren't just values to strive for. They are indispensable for meaningful connections. Without them, relationships fall apart. Betrayals involving lies go beyond the immediate damage of the falsehood. They chip away at the very core of the bond between two people. You can't help but feel devastated when someone you trust implicitly deceives you. At first, the lie might seem small, even insignificant, but the problem grows when you realize that deception has seeped into the relationship. The more lies that are told, the harder it becomes to distinguish what's real from what's fabricated. This constant uncertainty leaves you on edge, always wondering what else might not be true. The betrayal of lying doesn't just hurt emotionally. It distorts your perception of the relationship itself, clouding your judgment and leaving you vulnerable. You start questioning everything. What you thought was secure is now uncertain. This loss of clarity, the nagging feeling of being manipulated, makes it extremely difficult, if not impossible, to forgive the deceit. For example, consider a partner who repeatedly lies about finances. They assure you time and again that everything is fine, but as time passes, cracks begin to show, and the truth slowly unravels. When you finally uncover the reality, the impact is far-reaching and often devastating. Apologies may follow, but the damage is too great to simply erase with words. It's not just the financial situation that matters. It's the sense of betrayal and the realization that this person, whom you trusted and relied upon, has been hiding crucial truths from you all along. The emotional toll of such dishonesty is often far more damaging than any financial loss. After all, how can you trust them moving forward when their words have already proven unreliable? That's the true cost of deception. It shatters the sense of safety that a relationship needs to thrive. The Stoic teachings remind us that relationships must be built on the foundation of virtue, transparency, and honesty. When these principles are violated, restoring balance and trust in the relationship becomes almost impossible. The betrayal isn't just about what's lost in that moment. It's about the irreversible damage to the very fabric of the relationship. Once trust is compromised, it's unlikely to be fully regained, and that's a lesson that takes time to internalize. But once you understand it, it becomes clear that some betrayals are too damaging to forgive. Number 3, emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is one of the most damaging forms of betrayal in relationships, often going unnoticed until it has deeply affected you. At first, it might seem harmless, small comments, a guilt trip, or subtle jabs at your vulnerabilities. However, when these behaviors repeat, they begin to erode your self-worth and independence. Tactics like gaslighting, guilt-tripping, or using your weaknesses against you are methods manipulators use to control and subdue their victims. Over time, these actions undermine your emotional stability, leaving you second-guessing yourself and doubting your perceptions. This type of betrayal doesn't leave visible scars, but it silently takes root in your psyche, causing lasting damage. The harm often becomes apparent only when it's too late, with deep emotional scars that seem impossible to heal. Modern Stoicism teaches the importance of self-awareness and emotional control. By practicing reflection, we can spot the signs of manipulation early before it affects us too deeply. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When we let others manipulate our emotions, we are surrendering our inner peace and with it our happiness. Stoicism reminds us that while we cannot control others, we can control our reactions. This is where emotional control and boundary setting become essential. By establishing clear boundaries, we protect ourselves from emotional harm. If someone continually manipulates us, distancing ourselves is not an act of bitterness but a necessary step for our mental health. Forgiveness, in this case, does not mean allowing the manipulator to continue harming us. It means choosing peace over further pain. In today's world, emotional manipulation is more common than we realize, affecting our personal relationships, workplaces, and even the media. People may twist our words, make us feel guilty for standing up for ourselves, or attempt to erode our confidence. The manipulator may not even recognize the harm they cause, but that doesn't mean we should ignore it. Stoic philosophy teaches us not to react blindly to others' behaviors, but to decide how we will respond. If left unchecked, emotional manipulation will slowly erode our sense of agency and self-worth. It becomes a subtle form of toxicity, undermining our confidence and trust in our own judgment. I recall hearing a story of someone who, after years of emotional manipulation by a close friend, finally recognized the patterns. The friend would always make them feel like the bad guy, twisting their perspective to invalidate their feelings. Over time, the manipulator's tactics, guilt trips, and subtle belittling became impossible to ignore. The breaking point came when the friend made an especially hurtful remark during a vulnerable moment. This wasn't an isolated incident but a recurring pattern. Recognizing this betrayal, the person decided to distance themselves, not in anger, but as an act of self-preservation. By imagining the manipulation would continue, they were suffering mentally. By setting boundaries, they reclaimed their peace. In relationships, we often rush to forgive without fully addressing the harm. But Stoicism teaches us to balance forgiveness with self-preservation. Some betrayals, like emotional manipulation, are not just misunderstandings. They are deep, harmful acts that should not be brushed aside. These betrayals quietly erode trust and are not easily forgiven without consequence. Modern Stoicism reminds us that while forgiveness is important, it should never come at the expense of our emotional health or self-respect. Setting boundaries with manipulators is not a failure to forgive. It is an act of self-care and a reaffirmation of our autonomy. You have the right to protect your emotional well-being. Although it may be difficult, walking away from toxic relationships is sometimes the best form of forgiveness you can give yourself. Let me ask you, are you ready to take full ownership of your life, to empower yourself through self-mastery? Now is the time to act. Like this video and comment below. True strength comes from within. Remember, real power doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering yourself. Emotional manipulation can be one of the most insidious betrayals in relationships, silently undermining your confidence and sense of self. But with the wisdom of modern Stoicism, you can learn to recognize these manipulative tactics early and protect your peace. Number 4. Breach of confidentiality. When we think about betrayal in relationships, one of the most painful and unforgivable offenses is the breach of confidentiality. This is no simple mistake. It's a deep violation of trust, often leaving us exposed, vulnerable, and betrayed. Imagine sharing your most personal thoughts, feelings, or secrets with someone you trust, only to have them turn around and share those intimate details with others without your consent. The pain of this betrayal isn't just emotional, it's personal. It shatters your sense of privacy and leaves you questioning how someone you trusted could so deeply violate that bond. The Stoics understood the power of integrity and honor in relationships. these values form the foundation of meaningful connections. When confidentiality is breached, it devastates the trust that holds a relationship together. The damage goes far beyond hurt feelings. It destroys the very essence of what made that relationship strong. Once trust is shattered, the bond becomes nearly impossible to repair, even with the best efforts at reconciliation. The emotional scars linger, and the relationship is forever changed. Let's consider a modern example. Think about a time when you confided in a close friend about something deeply personal, perhaps a fear or struggle you were facing. You trusted them with your vulnerability, knowing they would keep it safe. But then they share your private conversation with others, causing unexpected hurt and embarrassment. The trust you once had is gone. The relationship that once felt safe and supportive now feels fragile and altered. The damage can't be undone, and the relationship can never go back to what it was. Now, I want to ask you, have you ever had someone you trusted break that trust in a way you didn't see coming? How did it make you feel? Can you see that relationship ever being the same again? The Stoics remind us that while we can't control others' actions, we can control how we respond. Betrayal often leaves us with a choice. We can let anger and resentment cloud our judgment, or we can recognize that some betrayals are simply too significant to forgive. The Stoic path isn't about being a victim of others. It's about taking responsibility for our emotional responses and using wisdom to navigate through the pain. The lesson here is clear. Once trust is broken in a way that fundamentally alters the relationship, it can sometimes be beyond repair. Recognizing this is key to protecting your emotional well-being. Letting go of relationships that no longer serve you, where trust has been irreparably broken, is a necessary step to heal and move forward. This doesn't mean holding on to bitterness or anger, but accepting the truth of the situation and using your wisdom to move ahead. So, how do you ensure your boundaries are respected in the future? How do you protect your integrity when trust is on the line? These are important questions to ask yourself in all relationships, whether they are friendships, family, or romantic partnerships. The Stoics teach us to constantly reflect on our values and maintain those boundaries, regardless of the situation. You have the power to decide what level of trust you will place in others, and more importantly, what you are willing to forgive. Some betrayals, as painful as they are, teach us the limits of forgiveness and the importance of self-respect. Letting go of relationships that no longer honor your boundaries is not easy, but it's one of the wisest steps you can take for your peace of mind. Number 5. Neglect or abandonment. Neglect or abandonment in a relationship can be just as painful as, if not more than, active betrayal. It's not always the loud, obvious acts of harm that cut the deepest. Sometimes, it's the quiet refusal to care, to support, or to even show up when you need it most. Picture this. You're going through a tough time, perhaps facing a personal crisis or struggling with something that shakes you to your core. The one person you thought would be there, offering a listening ear or a comforting word, isn't. They refuse to acknowledge your pain, ignore your needs, or worse, abandon you when you're most vulnerable. It's not just hurtful. It feels like a profound violation of the trust you thought you had. A betrayal of the very bond you believed was unbreakable. In moments like these, I often think of what Marcus Aurelius said. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. It's a reminder that how we respond to neglect or abandonment is a choice, and that choice can either restore our peace or drag us further into pain. This kind of neglect can be as damaging as any overt betrayal, because it speaks to a refusal to invest emotionally, to truly be present in a relationship. When someone you love chooses to turn away at your most vulnerable moments, it shakes your belief in the connection you once shared. It's easy to feel anger and resentment, but Stoic philosophy teaches us that these emotions, if not managed, can be far more destructive to us than to the person who wronged us. So let me ask you, what do you think is more damaging? Being Actively betrayed or having someone abandon you when you need them most? How does it feel when the person who once promised to stand by your side chooses silence over support? Often, when faced with this kind of emotional neglect, the most stoic choice is to let go. It might seem harsh, but is it not a sign of strength to recognize when a relationship no longer serves your well-being? In the face of neglect, continuing to invest in someone who is unwilling to do the same only leads to further hurt. The truth is, sometimes the best path forward is to walk away, to protect your emotional health from further erosion. I found that modern Stoicism calls us to recognize when our energy is being drained by someone who has stopped contributing to our happiness. In these situations, your peace of mind is worth more than the illusion of connection. Remember, you don't need to carry the burden of someone else's indifference. The Stoic principle of kindness and respect, giving what you can, but never at the cost of your own dignity, becomes especially important when faced with neglect. Ask yourself, how much of yourself are you willing to lose just to maintain a relationship with someone who isn't willing to show up for you? What is it that truly matters in your life? Holding on to someone who has abandoned you, or finding peace in letting go and moving forward? Modern Stoicism teaches us to value our emotional peace above all else. And sometimes that means recognizing when it's time to release what no longer serves us. Neglect is a slow, painful form of betrayal, and in the end, you deserve someone who will stand by your side, not only when things are easy, but when you need them most. Number 6. Consistent disrespect. Respect is not just a courtesy we extend to others. It is a vital element that sustains the integrity of any relationship. When someone consistently disrespects you, whether it's through belittling your thoughts, dismissing your opinions, or trampling over your boundaries, this is a profound betrayal. Stoic philosophy teaches us that self-respect is the foundation of all healthy relationships, and by extension, respect for others is crucial. The Stoic secrets lie in cultivating a deep sense of personal value, which cannot be maintained when we are repeatedly disrespected. Over time, this consistent pattern of disrespect erodes your confidence, sows resentment, and leaves you questioning your worth. When the person you care about continually disregards your needs or treats you with contempt, it becomes clear that they no longer see you as an equal or worthy of the respect you deserve. This is a betrayal of the deepest kind, as it destroys the very foundation of mutual respect that any partnership requires to thrive. Just as the Stoics believed in the importance of living in accordance with nature, relationships must be based on mutual respect for each other's integrity. Without it, a relationship becomes toxic, where one person's needs and feelings are perpetually ignored. You may find that over time, this constant disrespect takes a toll on your emotional well-being and sense of self-worth. You may start to question your value, which is precisely what the other person wants. A gradual undermining of your confidence and trust in yourself. For instance, let's say your partner regularly belittles your ideas, mocks your interests, and openly insults you behind closed doors. At first, you might dismiss it, thinking it's just a bad day or a passing issue. But over time, these actions accumulate and wear you down. You begin to feel insignificant, as if your voice and presence don't matter. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." If your partner consistently disrespects you, you're being forced into a position where your dignity is continually challenged. No apology or explanation can undo the years of emotional erosion caused by this behavior. Even though they may claim to be sorry or promise to change, the damage is already done. The emotional toll of this ongoing disrespect makes it almost impossible to repair the relationship. The truth is, once the foundational respect is gone, it's not something that can be easily rebuilt. So you must ask yourself, is it worth continuing in a relationship where your self-worth is continually diminished? The Stoic answer would be no. Because true peace of mind comes from knowing your inherent value and not allowing anyone to strip that away. As the Stoics taught, we must maintain our virtue and integrity regardless of how others treat us, but we must also be wise enough to remove ourselves from situations that undermine these values. Disrespect in any form is a betrayal that goes far beyond surface-level conflicts. It chips away at your spirit, and this is something that, once broken, is incredibly difficult to restore. You deserve to be treated with the same respect you extend to others, and that's not a betrayal that can or should be forgiven easily. If you've reached this point, you're someone who values wisdom and self-respect. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below with the slogan, "Respect is the foundation of peace." This will show your commitment to understanding your worth and living with purpose. Let's continue this journey of self-discovery and growth together. You're just getting started, and I'm here for it. Number 7. Financial betrayal. Financial betrayal is a profound breach of trust that can devastate any relationship. Whether it's hidden debt, financial manipulation, or a lack of transparency, the damage extends beyond just financial matters. Undermines the emotional security at the heart of your partnership. Money is often a source of tension, but when trust is broken in this area, the impact is far more profound. A partner who conceals financial matters is not just hiding money. They are hiding a deeper lack of honesty and trust, both of which are essential for a healthy relationship. In modern Stoicism, we learn that honesty and fairness are vital not only for inner peace but also for relational health. When these principles are violated, it's not just your finances that are at risk. It's your emotional well-being as well. Financial betrayal doesn't always manifest in large sums or obvious cases. Often, it starts with small, hidden expenses, secret purchases, or a lack of communication about key financial decisions. Over time, these actions signal a breakdown in trust, and once trust is compromised, the relationship becomes unstable. You may find yourself questioning your partner's integrity and the future you thought you were building together. The emotional toll of financial betrayal often surpasses the material loss. It erodes your sense of security, leaving you feeling vulnerable and uncertain about your partner's reliability. I recall a story where someone discovered their partner had been hiding significant debt for years. While the financial strain was difficult to bear, the emotional impact was far worse. The real betrayal wasn't the money. It was the secrecy that eroded trust. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control. The deception was beyond their control, but their response was not. They chose to distance themselves to protect their peace of mind. In today's world, trust is vital in relationships, yet many overlook the importance of financial transparency. Financial betrayal is often subtle, but over time, it can corrode the relationship's foundation. If your partner hides financial matters, it's a sign they don't trust you enough to be transparent. As the Stoics emphasized, living in truth is essential. Financial honesty is not optional, it's fundamental. In modern Stoicism, we're reminded that while we cannot control others' actions, we can control our responses. When financial betrayal occurs, it's natural to feel hurt and angry. But Stoicism teaches that our response is key. Instead of letting emotions dictate your actions, reflect on the kind of relationship you truly want. If the betrayal has damaged your trust, you may need to set boundaries or make tough decisions about your future together. The decision to distance yourself isn't about abandonment. It's about asserting your need for honesty and protecting your peace. You control how to respond to financial betrayal. While trust may take time to rebuild, in some cases it may never be restored. In such cases, letting go might be the best choice. Not out of bitterness, but because you're choosing your emotional and financial well-being. This is the Stoics' path to protect your peace and shape your future regardless of the actions of others. The 7 types of betrayal we've explored today, whether it's infidelity, lying, emotional manipulation, or any of the others, are not just violations of trust. They can shatter the foundation of any relationship. Recognizing these betrayals helps you understand that forgiveness doesn't always mean tolerating harmful behavior. Now let's take a deeper dive into how to navigate and heal from these painful experiences and explore strategies for managing betrayal moving forward. Additional insights on handling betrayal in relationships. As we transition from the betrayals to how you can handle them, we'll explore vital insights into navigating the aftermath of these actions. From recognizing toxic relationships to understanding the power of emotional resilience, this section will provide you with the tools to cope, grow, and move forward. Stay with us. You won't want to miss how these principles can change the way you approach healing and future relationships. Number 1. Recognizing toxic relationships. Recognizing the signs of a toxic relationship is one of the most crucial steps you can take toward taking control of your emotional well-being. Toxic relationships often have a way of subtly eroding your self-esteem and peace of mind over time. At first, it might not be obvious, but certain patterns begin to emerge. Manipulation, constant dishonesty, a lack of respect, or emotional neglect. Instead of feeling supported and nurtured, you start feeling drained and unfulfilled. Have you ever noticed the feeling of walking on eggshells in a relationship, always on edge, wondering how your partner or friend will react to something you say or do? This constant anxiety can become overwhelming. Another clear sign of toxicity is when the other person refuses to take responsibility for their actions, consistently blaming you or external factors for everything that goes wrong. You might find yourself constantly criticized, invalidated, or simply ignored. This kind of behavior wears you down emotionally, leading to feelings of anxiety, depression, and an overall sense of fatigue. The Stoic secrets teach us the importance of recognizing these signs early, as they prevent us from achieving true inner peace. Though acknowledging that a relationship is toxic can be painful, it's an essential act of self-care. It means you're choosing to prioritize your emotional health over the harmful patterns of a toxic connection. Think about a situation in your life where you might have felt dismissed or blamed for things that weren't your fault. Perhaps you were in a relationship where your feelings were constantly ignored, or your mistakes were exaggerated while the other person remained blameless. I want you to reflect on that for a moment. What did you feel in those moments? Did you feel drained, like you were giving more than you were receiving? That's the energy of a toxic relationship, and realizing it for what it is can be the first step toward reclaiming your peace. Imagine this scenario. After months of feeling belittled by your partner, constantly dismissed, and blamed for things that weren't your fault, you finally recognize the relationship's toxicity. Your partner refuses to acknowledge their role in the ongoing conflict, and instead, you're made to feel as though everything is your fault. At this point, you know something has to change. You decide to distance yourself, not out of anger, but to preserve your emotional balance and regain your peace. The Stoics would say this decision is wise. You're not running from the situation. You're simply choosing to protect your inner tranquility. In the end, the real question is, how do you prioritize your emotional well-being when faced with such challenges? Recognizing the signs early gives you the power to take control before the damage becomes irreversible. Number 2. Why boundaries matter. Setting boundaries in relationships is something many of us overlook, but it's one of the most powerful tools we have to protect our well-being, especially when it comes to betrayal. I know from personal experience that without clear boundaries, relationships can easily slide into toxic dynamics where one person's needs dominate and the others get completely disregarded. It's a situation where your feelings, your needs, your peace of mind take a back seat. And that can feel like a betrayal in itself, can't it? Betrayal isn't just about lying or cheating. It's also about consistently putting yourself in a position where your boundaries are violated, where you're taken for granted. This is why boundaries are more important than ever when you've been hurt. You need them not just to protect yourself from further harm, but to keep your inner peace intact. The Stoic teachings align perfectly here. As Epictetus wisely put it, no man is free who is not master of himself. This speaks directly to the power of boundaries. When you set boundaries, you are taking control of your emotional, physical, and mental space. You are saying no when something doesn't sit right, and that act of saying no becomes an assertion of your self-respect. I've learned that this isn't just about avoiding mistreatment. It's about saying, I deserve better than this, and demanding it. It's about making sure your values, your sense of peace, and your integrity aren't compromised by someone else's actions. Think about it. Have you ever found yourself caught in a relationship where your needs were never considered, where your peace was repeatedly shattered? It might have felt like you were walking on eggshells, constantly adjusting to avoid conflict or discomfort, but isn't it draining to live like that? The truth is, setting boundaries isn't just a way to keep the peace, it's a way to preserve your peace. It's about creating a safe space within yourself where you are no longer at the mercy of others' actions. Once you set boundaries, you have to enforce them. This is where the real strength comes in. If you let your boundaries slip, you invite more betrayal, more hurt, and more emotional exhaustion into your life. The Stoics were all about self-control and personal responsibility. Modern Stoicism calls us to stand firm in our values and to take responsibility for the emotional space we allow others to occupy. Boundaries are essential to this practice, and they're not just about rejecting what feels wrong. They're also about inviting what feels right. For example, if you've been repeatedly lied to by a partner, setting a boundary might mean telling them clearly that dishonesty is no longer acceptable. It means establishing transparency as a non-negotiable value in the relationship moving forward. And yes, it might be uncomfortable at first, but doesn't it feel empowering to take control in that way? To say, I will not tolerate this behavior anymore? It's an act of self-respect, and it's crucial to protecting your emotional health. I'll ask you, have you ever set a boundary only to second-guess yourself or allow it to slip over time? It's easy to do. But in those moments, remember that by enforcing your boundaries, you are not just protecting yourself from betrayal, you are teaching others how to treat you. You're reinforcing your worth, your dignity, and your peace. Boundaries are not walls to isolate us, but rather gates that keep out the things that threaten our emotional safety. In a world that constantly tests our limits, boundaries are a reminder of the power we hold over our own lives. So as you reflect on this, ask yourself, what boundaries do you need to set today to protect your peace? What is it that you've tolerated for far too long? And how will you shift your mindset to protect your emotional well-being moving forward? These questions, rooted in modern Stoicism, can guide you in reclaiming control over your life and creating the space for healthy, respectful relationships that honor who you truly are. Number 3. Self-worth and forgiveness. Self-worth is a powerful force in how we navigate the pain of betrayal and decide whether or not to forgive. Too often we think that forgiveness is something we do for the person who wronged us, as if we are granting them mercy or absolution. But true forgiveness is rooted in self-respect, and it comes from recognizing our inherent value, irrespective of how others behave toward us. When someone betrays us, especially someone close to us, it's natural to feel as if we are somehow to blame or that we are not worthy of better treatment. Stoicism, however, encourages us to shift our focus inward, teaching us to value ourselves, regardless of external circumstances. The Stoic secrets to handling betrayal lie in understanding that another person's actions are a reflection of them, not a reflection of our worth. By embracing this mindset, we free ourselves from the false belief that the betrayal diminishes our value. Instead, we see it for what it truly is, a flaw in the other person, not in ourselves. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The decision to forgive, therefore, becomes an act of self-liberation. It's a conscious choice to release the emotional weight of resentment and anger that otherwise keeps us shackled to the past. Forgiveness allows us to move forward, unburdened by the bitterness that betrayal often leaves in its wake. It's vital to understand that forgiveness is not about letting the other person off the hook or excusing their behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional power that their actions continue to hold over you. Forgiving is an act of reclaiming your own peace and emotional independence. For instance, after a betrayal by a close friend, you might choose to forgive them, not because you think they deserve it, but because you recognize that holding on to anger and resentment will only continue to harm you. It will keep you tied to their actions, as if you are forever waiting for an apology that may never come. By choosing to forgive, you regain control over your emotions and reclaim the peace that was taken from you. This doesn't mean that you forget the betrayal or allow it to happen again. Rather, it means that you choose to release the grip that it has on your life, so you can move forward unburdened. It's a powerful way to ensure that you are not defined by the actions of others, but instead by your own sense of self-worth. The Stoic philosophy reminds us that our worth is not determined by the opinions or actions of others, but by our own virtues and integrity. When you forgive, you are not doing so for the other person. You are doing so for yourself, to protect your peace and ensure that your life is not dominated by the past. You've just taken a major step on your journey to mastering yourself and your emotions. Let us know how you're embracing the Stoic wisdom by leaving a comment with a phrase like, "I reclaim my peace," or another powerful reminder of how you're putting these principles into practice. Keep moving forward. Your transformation is unfolding. Number 4. Communication to prevent betrayal. In any relationship, communication is the bedrock on which trust and understanding are built. When communication falters, so does the stability of the relationship, often leading to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and eventually betrayal. Too often, betrayal arises when one or both partners fail to openly express their thoughts, emotions, and expectations. It's in the silence, the unsaid words, and the unmet needs where feelings of neglect, frustration, and confusion fester. As time passes, these emotions accumulate, and one person may act out in ways they wouldn't have otherwise, driven by a need for attention, validation, or simply a desire to be heard. A simple act of communication could prevent this spiral. Modern Stoicism teaches us that clarity and transparency in our interactions are vital for emotional harmony. According to the Stoic philosopher Seneca, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Misunderstandings, when left unaddressed, breed unnecessary suffering, something that can easily be avoided by taking the time to communicate openly. When both individuals engage in honest, empathetic conversations, they create a safe space for vulnerability and mutual understanding. It is through these exchanges that both people can set clear boundaries, express their needs, and address any concerns before they escalate into something more harmful. Communication isn't just about speaking, it's also about listening, truly hearing what your partner is saying without judgment. This kind of active listening creates an environment where both parties feel respected and valued. Without it, relationships can quickly fall into a state of emotional neglect, leaving one or both partners feeling disconnected and unseen. As the Stoics would advise, it's crucial to observe the shifts in your relationship dynamics and address them with courage and clarity before they become festering wounds. Consider the situation where you sense your partner withdrawing, perhaps becoming distant or distracted. Instead of letting those feelings grow in silence, you initiate a conversation, creating a space where both of you can voice your concerns, share your feelings, and work through any tension. This proactive approach, this willingness to communicate openly, helps prevent minor misunderstandings from blossoming into full-blown emotional betrayals. In modern Stoicism, we learn that what is within our control is how we respond to these subtle shifts in our relationships. By being vigilant and taking responsibility for clear communication, we avoid the unnecessary suffering caused by miscommunication and the betrayal that often follows. At the core of this is emotional transparency, which not only prevents betrayal but also fosters a deeper connection. When both people in a relationship feel heard, respected, and valued, the likelihood of betrayal decreases because the emotional foundation is firm, grounded in mutual understanding and trust. When communication thrives in a relationship, so does trust, and with trust comes security. Betrayal often occurs when individuals feel unheard, misunderstood, or isolated within their partnership. Modern Stoicism encourages us to seek emotional clarity, to express ourselves with honesty, and to listen with an open heart. If we embrace this, we not only protect ourselves from betrayal, but also build the kind of relationship that is resilient to emotional turmoil. Remember, the act of speaking and listening is not just about exchanging words, it's about nurturing the very soul of the relationship. So, take the time to foster open and honest communication in your life, for in doing so, you create a space where betrayal has no room to grow. Number 5. Emotional resilience after betrayal. Betrayal can shake you to your core, leaving you feeling lost, hurt, and unsure of who to trust. In those moments, it can feel like the world has crumbled beneath you, and the pain seems almost impossible to overcome. But there's one essential skill that can help you rebuild: emotional resilience. This isn't just about bouncing back, it's about transforming the pain into strength. Emotional resilience means you face the hurt head-on, acknowledging your emotions, without letting them overwhelm you. The Stoic secrets tell us that while we can't control the actions of others, we always have control over how we respond to those actions. It's not about suppressing your feelings, but allowing yourself the space to feel, reflect, and then move forward with wisdom. It's a slow process, but over time, you begin to rebuild yourself, not by erasing the past, but by learning from it and growing stronger. I'm sure you've experienced something similar. Maybe you've been betrayed by someone close, and for a while you questioned everything you knew about trust and loyalty. But think back. Didn't you eventually find a way to rise above the hurt, even if it took time? That's resilience in action. Take, for example, the story of Sarah. After discovering that her partner had lied to her, she felt devastated. The trust they'd built was shattered, and she was left grappling with intense emotional pain. But Sarah chose to embrace the pain instead of letting it define her. She sought therapy, practiced mindfulness, and spent time reflecting on herself. Through this process, she didn't just heal, she grew. Sarah didn't return to her partner, but she found the strength to trust herself again. Over time, she learned that resilience isn't about being unaffected by betrayal. It's about realizing that you have the power to heal and grow from it. So I ask you, when betrayal has knocked you down, how do you respond? Do you allow yourself to spiral into self-doubt and anger? Or do you choose to face the pain and use it as an opportunity to grow? The Stoics would tell you that the pain itself is not what defines you, it's how you rise above it. Healing takes time, but through emotional resilience, you reclaim your power and your self-worth. The lesson here is clear. Emotional resilience isn't just about surviving betrayal. It's about using it to build a stronger, wiser version of yourself. And that is a lesson worth remembering as you move through life's inevitable challenges with a Stoic mindset. Number 6. Acceptance in letting go. After experiencing betrayal, one of the most powerful tools you can embrace is acceptance. I know it's not easy. It's so tempting to obsess over why the betrayal happened or how to change the past, to wish that things could be different. But here's the harsh truth. We can't undo what's been done. No amount of replaying the situation in our minds will alter its outcome. The real healing comes from acceptance. Stoic philosophy teaches us that it's not the event itself that causes us suffering. It's our reaction to it. This is such a profound concept, don't you think? It's a reminder that we have control over how we respond, not the events themselves. By accepting betrayal as a part of our journey, we free ourselves from the emotional grip it holds over us. It doesn't mean we condone the behavior or forgive the person who hurt us. Acceptance isn't about excusing their actions. It's about acknowledging the reality of the situation and choosing to move forward. And in this you reclaim your power. I'll ask you, how many times have you found yourself trapped in the anger or bitterness of a past betrayal? Haven't you noticed how that pain tends to linger? How it can define your present if you let it? It's like carrying a heavy weight, and the longer you hold on to it, the more it keeps you from walking forward. But here's the liberating truth. Holding on to that resentment only prolongs the pain. The longer you stay anchored in the past, the harder it becomes to find peace. That's why acceptance is so crucial. When you choose to accept what's happened, not as something you wanted, but as something that is now part of your story, you release the emotional weight that keeps you tethered to that moment. You're not letting the betrayal define who you are or what your future holds. You're letting go of the anger, the bitterness, and the sadness, allowing space for healing and growth. It's hard, but it's also empowering. Think about it. After the betrayal of a friend spreading rumors about you, what do? You can stay angry, let it fester, and keep the bitterness alive. But is that helping you? Or is it just a chain that keeps you stuck in the past? Instead, imagine this. You accept that the betrayal happened. Yes, it still hurts, and maybe it will hurt for a while. But you choose not to let it control your future. You choose to heal. That's what modern Stoicism teaches us, the idea that while we can't control the events that happen to us, we have full control over how we respond to them. You can't change the past, but you can decide to move forward. With resilience, you can choose to focus on your own growth, not as a victim of what's been done, but as someone who has learned, evolved, and will not be held down by resentment. It's a powerful shift, isn't it? I want you to think about this. What would your life look like if you decided to let go of the anger that holds you back? If you accepted what happened, not as something you deserved, but as part of your journey, and then chose to move forward with grace? It's a difficult choice, but it's a choice that will set you free. And in that freedom, you reclaim your power, your peace, and your future. That's what Stoicism is all about. Acknowledging what we cannot control, but choosing how we respond. And in that we find strength. We find healing. We find the freedom to live without the chains of betrayal dragging us down. So take a moment to ask yourself, where in your life do you need to practice the power of acceptance? What is it that you've been holding on to? And how might letting go of that resentment set you free? As you reflect on the power of acceptance and letting go of betrayal, I want to encourage you to take a step toward freeing yourself from the emotional weight that holds you back. It's not an easy task, but it's one that will bring you peace and growth. So, as you embark on this journey of healing, share your commitment with our community. Comment below with, "I am ready to let go," to show that you are choosing to release the past and embrace your own power to move forward. Together, we can support each other in reclaiming peace, strength, and freedom. Number 7. Learning from betrayal. Betrayal, though one of the most painful experiences we can face, holds the potential for deep personal growth and transformation. In fact, betrayal can be a powerful teacher, offering insights that help us build stronger and healthier relationships in the future. When we face betrayal, it shakes us to our core, but it also presents an invaluable opportunity to reflect and learn. From a Stoic standpoint, the key lies in how we choose to respond. Instead of letting the pain of betrayal harden us or make us cynical, we can use these moments to cultivate wisdom and discernment. Every act of betrayal teaches us something about who we should trust, the boundaries we need to enforce, and the values we truly hold dear in our relationships. Stoic secrets suggest that we should approach such experiences as a mirror, reflecting back not just the flaws in others, but the lessons we need to learn for our own personal growth. When we reflect on betrayal, we begin to understand what truly matters: mutual respect, honesty, and shared values. Betrayal teaches us that we must be more cautious about where we place our trust, becoming more attuned to warning signs that we may have overlooked in the past. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, betrayal, though painful, can push us toward becoming more thoughtful, more careful, and ultimately more aligned with our true values. Instead of becoming bitter or resentful, we can use the lessons learned from betrayal as a stepping stone to a more enlightened perspective on relationships. We learn to recognize toxic dynamics and set healthier boundaries that protect our peace and emotional well-being. This doesn't mean we should live in fear of being hurt again, but rather, we approach future relationships with a deeper understanding of the qualities we want to nurture and the red flags that signal when to walk away. In this way, betrayal can become a catalyst for building stronger, more genuine connections with others. Take the example of being betrayed by a colleague. Perhaps they lied, undermined you, or manipulated your trust. In the aftermath, it's easy to be consumed by anger or self-doubt. But if you take the time to reflect, you can ask yourself, what went wrong? Were there signs I missed? Did I place too much trust too quickly? When you take the time to learn from the situation, you begin to realize the importance of setting clear boundaries and being more discerning about who you allow into your inner circle. This reflection helps you grow stronger and more resilient, ensuring that you engage in relationships built on trust, mutual respect, and shared values. Betrayal doesn't have to define your future. It can serve as the very foundation for better choices and healthier connections. So don't let betrayal leave you bitter. Let it make you better, more self-aware, and more in control of the relationships you choose to nurture. The Stoic wisdom teaches us that growth comes not from avoiding difficulty, but from embracing the lessons that come with it. Each betrayal, painful as it is, offers a chance to refine our judgment and strengthen our emotional resilience. Number 8. Time's role in healing. When betrayal strikes, its emotional impact can feel overwhelming, as though the very foundation of our world has been shattered. Yet time plays a crucial role in the healing process. Modern Stoicism teaches us that healing cannot be rushed. While time may seem passive, it becomes an active force in restoring emotional balance. Over time, the intensity of the pain dulls, and we begin to view the situation with greater clarity. The pain of betrayal does not define us. Our response does. Over time, we gain wisdom and strength in how we handle the hurt. Time is not just about healing, it teaches us. As weeks or months pass, the distance allows us to process and reflect. This distance doesn't erase the hurt, but it creates the space we need to understand our emotions better. Betrayal is not a reflection of our worth, but an experience that can lead to growth. Time helps us let go of anger, resentment, and confusion, and ultimately, it releases the emotional grip the betrayal once had on us. This process of emotional detachment is crucial for reclaiming control over our lives. With time, we also gain clarity on the lessons hidden within the betrayal. It offers insights into what we truly want, need, and deserve in relationships. For instance, after a year of healing from a breakup caused by betrayal, you might find yourself ready to open up to new relationships, equipped with stronger boundaries and deeper self-awareness. Stoicism teaches us to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. In modern Stoicism, we come to see betrayal not as a permanent wound, but as an opportunity to grow stronger and more resilient. The role of time in healing is also about rediscovering hope and possibility. As emotional wounds begin to heal, we become more open to new experiences. What once seemed like a defining event in our lives fades into just one chapter of a larger story, a story that is still ours to shape. Time allows us to regain the strength to move forward with greater resilience and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. Time, through its healing power, helps us move forward by using what we've learned to chart a more fulfilling course. Time doesn't erase the past, but helps us see it from a clearer perspective. It enables us to regain our emotional balance and embrace the future with a wiser heart. Through the lens of modern Stoicism, time becomes a vital tool in our journey toward healing and personal growth. With each passing day, you're not just moving away from the pain of betrayal, you're moving towards a stronger, more grounded version of yourself. In conclusion, betrayal is one of the toughest challenges in relationships, but it also offers an opportunity for growth and learning. Instead of letting hurt linger, we can apply the principles of modern Stoicism to move forward, set healthy boundaries, and rebuild our inner strength. We can transform betrayal into a chance for greater self-awareness and stronger, healthier relationships. Have you ever used Stoicism to overcome a challenge in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life for more insights on unlocking your inner power through Stoicism.